Yeah,
It's
it's
like
like
a chalkboard,
no, yeah, there's no better.
fingers down the chalkboard. Oh, boy,
Grab a chair.
are we gonna be missing?
I would say go for a comfy chair.
Yeah, I go for a comfy chair too. Come on, Don, you can do
You know,
this.
it's a safe choice.
It's a big show.
I didn't know how many officials got it.
Yeah, I know,
I
well,
didn't want to take the officials.
I'm less official than any of them, so.
Also, we've got a little bit of a challenge in that there's only 2 waterfront committee members here. We can still have a meeting and a discussion, we just can't make a decision.
Well, actually, that takes off the pressure. That's
It kind of does. So, I know we can't review the meeting notes from November 22nd. They will last until someone maybe late. I didn't know if I was supposed to or not, because this is all new to me, but I did do a recap of our meeting from last week, sort of what we talked about and direction, what the group was about. And then I did have an updated phone list, so I need that for you guys. I don't know if it needs to be voted on or if it's just for your own information. So we started, so. Well, so I think Tom Joyce is also going to join us. This point.
There's a heavyweight. We can put him in the squeaky chair.
Somebody coming in? Is somebody coming in?
Tom Joyce.
Another working group member. So, we don't seem to have a forum, so we thought we just have a discussion.
You could just have work.
So can we start with the harbor master updates, because that'll kind of help with the cameras?
I really have no updates, been a slow month.
Okay.
You know more about it than I do. Virginia came, waiting on the porta potty.
Okay, does one of the cameras point over to the rec pier that's working now?
Not yet.
Not yet. That should be soon.
We do, Callie and I do have access to the cameras. Dwayne gave us a login and whatnot. Still waiting on the other 2 cameras to be installed. He's gonna readjust, we talked about readjusting one of them to point at the commercial. Well, the commercial dock there. So that's gonna happen, I just don't know when.
One point at the rec flow.
When we get those other 2 up, yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So the 3 cameras will be pointing at,
Well, there's 3 cameras down there now. One's pointing up Water Street. One's pointing at the boat ramp. Actually, 2 pointing at the boat ramp. So we're gonna take one of those and point it at the commercial dock where the hoist is. And then the other 2 cameras, when they get installed, would be pointed somewhere at the rec float. We did have an incident where, well, somebody reported they lost a worm trap full of worms. We checked the cameras and there was no evidence of that. Somebody went out and took them. So we think they got just broke free during the storm we had. So it was the day after we had that storm. So we think they just broke free and floated out. But the cameras were able to tell us that nobody went down and stole them.
Awesome. So, let's see, I think we discussed this last time, but last Tuesday, Larry and I did a chamber chat to discuss some of our plans for the waterfront and the formation of this working group. So that will air it's on demand on LCTV, you go to lctv.org. It's available, I believe, on the town's website and on the chamber's website. And it will be on LCTV channel 7, December 17th. Yeah, it has a really good interview.
sit next to me, I won't
Do you see the need for any type of security on the machine?
Oh, I'm gonna say no. The boat builder says he doesn't think so because we've had no problems on the property. No, I mean, I don't see a need for it. I mean, I'll have the night guys check it anyway. I'll make it part of their routine that they go down and check it. If we have any issues down there, the cameras are in place, so we'll see traffic coming and going.
So,
We'll just have to play by ear. I don't see a need for it.
okay.
We're going to the working group, moving on a little bit. The working group has a new applicant or member, Tom Joyce, so that kind of rounds out our group, so I guess we can say that our group is complete. And, yeah, Tom can't, is not here tonight. We just recently had some dental work done. So I think happier staying home. So anyway, I was kind of hoping he'd be here, but when he is, it's not.
Here.
So we talked last time about a task list being more specific or organized for the working group to use for their task of pursuing one tramp situation. And me and my friend Kelly put one together, a draft, which you got the copies now, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you guys-
There's a stapled page and then a regular page on top. So there's two.
Those 2 pages.
Can I also just briefly make an introduction here?
Yes, of course.
Two wonderful ladies to my left here are staff members with Peregrine Turban Technologies, Olivia Thompson and Abby Thompson,
Not really.
and not related. And they're assisting in some of the legwork to uncover information, get quotes, talk to people, et cetera, et cetera. So they're gonna leverage, I'm gonna leverage them so that.
Okay, so
Ain't that just,
that's awesome. Thank you. And
Yeah.
welcome.
that's just wonderful.
They're interested in this community and the development thereof, and of course, it's been my passion for it too, so
Nice.
we're all in this together.
Yes, it's nice to see young people jumping in.
You should have a page and a stapled page.
Uh-oh.
Could we just take the opportunity to, the new members all identify ourselves?
Oh, sure.
So we know who each other are?
Yeah, and
I got two of the single pages in case somebody.
let's go around the room.
So just the regular.
Can we just quickly go
Actually, it's
around?
the same as the first page on the statement.
There are two,
Can we just quickly go around and
Two different
introduce ourselves?
Oh, two different projects.
I'm Don Davis, Frank Sprague,
Terry Heller.
Matt Haverly, Eric Cousino,
David Staff.
Olivia Thompson, Abby Thompson.
Luke Sands, just community members.
Callie. Oh, I work for the
Cheers.
PD. I should know. I'm his assistant.
Larry has one time.
Dennis Simmons, Richard Forrest.
Susan Robson. So there is our chief of police and our harbor master. So, and Dennis is our town manager. Thank you for bringing that up. That's all, copies.
I didn't do just whatever I thought. I guess I made them both one. I don't know
Okay, so how should we proceed? Just want to look these over and see if they seem like, for what we presume the purpose is, if this is a useful document. Want to make any changes? I know something Dennis brought up was that we should keep in mind sea level rise and how that's going to affect what we're trying to do down there. Because we don't want to build something today and in 5 years have to move it up 6 inches.
Yeah, there was a high tide last week or 2 weeks ago. It was almost up at the parking lot level. For-
If you use that high tide, climate change, water increase level, does that mean that repairs would have to be different and that we'd have to have a higher seawall and we'd have to jack the building up and
It would seem likely.
so we could just go with, get the grant and go with what we want to do.
Well, you could do it, but then somewhere down the road, you're probably going to end up having to redo it. So why not do it right the first time? That's what I'm
And you feel confident that the seawall is going to work.
that's a conversation I don't really want to get into. We're being pushed in that direction, like I said, pretty hard. So
Other towns doing similar things.
actually, I think they're being far more aggressive than Wisconsin is right at the moment. So
I know when dealers start to put their bathrooms in, that's why they're up so high, because when they raise the parking lot. So I do know this, I think there's money available, like grant money for studies for such things, so that's something to inquire about, I think.
did you see the email from Mary Ellen earlier?
Yep, and I came up.
So we started to look into the grant opportunities, but I think we're just so far scratching the surface between the BIG and the SHIP grant opportunities. So we're sort of students of this and learning as we go, and Abby's been doing a lot of digging on that. If you have other grant opportunities you know about that we should be exploring, we'd love to see a list, and whatever else.
I do know, like Callie included a land and water conservation fund that might pay for certain aspects of what we're trying to do. Maybe not the whole project, like the big or SHIP grant might. I just don't remember all those details.
Water conservation.
Yeah, it's on here.
And I know when we looked into it last year, it was already closed by the time we found out about it. I think it hasn't opened back up when I went to look at this link for it. Because it had like a May deadline, I think.
But that one in particular, land and water conservation
Yes.
fund?
Yep.
Okay, and that's one we have searched out, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Well, I do know there's I don't know what the acronym is for, but it's NOAA, NOAA.
National Oceanographic and
They've got-
Atmospheric.
Atmospheric administration.
I think they're part of the sea level rise group, and they have grants for, at least for educational, whatever that means, I don't know. I had good luck when I contacted the harbor master in Booth Bay Harbor. I just happened to call him to ask him about launch fees and things like that, and he said, well, you just caught me, I was researching grants for, I think they're looking at, upgrading their waterfront and things too, so he was doing some research. So harbor masters are, and over the, my tenure here, I've talked to the town manager up in Dan's daughter. So there's other places that have a wealth of useful information that you want to pursue.
Do you have a contact name and number for the harbor master Booth Bay?
Yes,
That'd be great.
but I didn't bring it with me.
Have
And I
you
have his email, so I could
send
forward
it
that.
to- Yeah,
He's on the website.
is he? Okay.
They all are.
All right, good.
I mean, each town has a harbor
Yeah,
master.
right.
Because it has a document.
The grants.gov is a great place to start for federal grants.
Grants.gov, yeah. Yeah. Actually, I have a lot of this.
Mhm.
I think the reason why there were two different documents is one was kind of for the replacement of the situation, and the other was for the ramps. Is that
The
correct? Is that what
ramp
you
and
did?
the float are together, and the other one is the seawall.
The seawall, okay, so seawall would be the one page? And maybe the two would go together. So I don't know what you all think of the document. But we don't.
Oh. We've got two project number ones.
Yes, it's true, but they're two different things. It's almost like someone might have gotten distracted halfway through.
Oh, which one do you want for project number 2? I will just be happy to check.
I don't know, you know, I guess that's probably, I mean, they're. I don't know.
Part of the same project?
I mean, it's all priorities, you know, they're all what we want the working.
Being a researcher, a serious.
Well, I think what we talked about is, when we talked about redoing the boat launch and using concrete, if we're gonna be doing concrete, we should do the seawall at the same time instead of.
Got it.
I think
1A,
they're-
1B.
Right.
I'm on it.
All right, so which one's 1A?
Seawall is the single
That's
page.
what these people.
What is that? 1A is the
Seawall,
single?
yeah. How about make that be A?
That will be A.
Okay, 6 pages A.
And then B will be the ramp.
But the ramp is the higher priority.
Right.
I would think, yeah.
So that's 1A.
Okay.
It's too late, we just made it B. I'm writing in pen over here.
Yeah, I know. I get nervous about that.
Are there any more single pagers?
Did you not get one?
No.
My concern is, and if we've done it, and I've said it over and over and over again, that we talk in circles and never do anything. So I think part of this process of bringing you all on is to get things moving. We've talked about this boat ramp now for the last 3 meetings and still have got nowhere closer to it, so. I would like to see this boat ramp done by spring.
Yeah.
So maybe going forward, I think it'd be good to maybe reach out to some contractors and get pricing for it.
Well, and I think Dennis has already done something. Has
I don't think
he?
he's done anything with that.
He hadn't got.
I thought he had a company that. So what is the first step? Do we have to have an engineer?
Yes,
That's what I think.
All right.
yes.
Especially for, I think you need to have an engineer for the, if you go and apply for grants because you need all that documentation.
So Brock has engineers working for them.
Yeah, so I would say, I think a lot of companies that would install it would either have an engineer or they'd point you to an engineer they work with frequently.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I
we
think
could,
that would be, instead of going for some engineer that is totally removed from the construction of those same things.
if you're gonna piecemeal it, you're gonna need like a general contractor to manage everyone. Where if you go to a builder, I think you'll be able to find someone who can do it inclusively.
We did talk to Ted Christie to look at the wooden structure that's down there on the ramp now.
Mhm.
And he looked at it and said it was way beyond his capabilities. And so, but our goal is to get rid of that wood structure and just do the ramp and have it floating that goes up and down with the tide.
Mhm.
Get rid of that raised structure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like the arrangement in Bath.
Yeah.
And Sue does have pictures.
I do.
So
Bath is a perfect scenario. It goes out, there's a little more tide here. It still can. It's really
Nick or Kane ramp has those kind of, where it's just a long line of floats that go up with the tide. So you can always walk at water level, and at low tide, you're not 10 feet above the boat. Which is,
In my opinion.
looks easier to build than a pier too.
And there's, what do they call those pylons that's out there? Do you call them dolphins?
Dolphins would be multiple.
Yeah, and those are already in place, right? Those are still good.
I would imagine, but, you know, the engineer would have to tell you that. So just while we're talking that too, the idea of an engineer and the construction outfit. And you'd like to have this done by the spring, and we're looking for a grant.
Yeah.
Pretty long stretch,
That's
right there.
Yeah.
If the town can fund it pending a grant, you got a better chance. But I think the first recommendation would be that we reach out to several contractors.
Yeah.
Clark would be one. Davies Allen would be another one. He's a local fellow. Those would be two of them. And the question is, does this have to go up to bid?
Do I have to be in town to have over $5,000 has to go to bid, right?
Yeah,
So if it has to go out to bid, then we, instead of just going and talk to these guys individually, put that in the paper, see who responds, pick somebody, and then we can really start talking something. Until then, the hands are really tied.
So one of the things that came up in the work working group, the first one we had, said Davies Allen had already looked at some of those projects, and what I recall is that the answer, the response was not satisfactory, or that he didn't want to do it, or that I don't remember the specifics.
He wanted to use asphalt, and we don't think that's allowed anymore.
Well, I think he didn't know whether asphalt was allowed or not.
But that, well, okay. well,
I know,
That's
So
what I know.
there's no reason that we wouldn't talk to Davies Allen.
Correct.
Okay.
I also think that for just the ramp, I think you might be looking to at more like paving contractors and stuff than necessarily of like prop.
I don't know, I don't know what's involved with it, because you need groundwork done in order to
Yeah,
come in at low tide,
rebar and everything done,
cut all
yeah.
that out, yeah.
Yeah.
And then as the tide comes in, they hightail it. And it's an extractive project as a result of having to do it, over the tides. Whereas with some of those concrete ones, do they come out and just drop them in place? I don't know, until you talk to the engineers about how they're kept down, I really don't know.
They launched some pretty big vessels now.
Oh, yeah,
Mhm.
no, it's the perfect answer. But if there's about a mousetrap, that we should estimate everybody on it.
And didn't Dennis say there was like $30,000 left over for something that could be used towards this?
There's 30,000 left in this year's
Yeah.
budget, yeah.
And it's
This year's budget.
stayed in the waterfront budget,
What's the end of the fiscal year? June?
June.
So that money's available to then as well.
Yeah, those were monies from last year.
They got carried over.
And there might have been money budgeted for in this fiscal year to add to that. And
In the budget, yeah, have it.
so anyway, if you think you can use this document and at least do some footwork, I think that's what Dennis wants, is to do some footwork around what do these people, gathering the information. And what are these people looking for, so that he can send an RFP. Request for a structured proposal. So whether it's a contract, a marine contractor or engineer, or we did pretty well with that Will Gartley and Dorsey out of Camden. And they designed our slip project,
Gartley and Dorsey.
Gartley and Dorsey, yeah.
But then our contractors,
No, but they're engineers.
yes.
Okay.
I always think it might be easier to get an engineer with a contracting
yeah.
outfit. That would go a little bit quicker. I think.
Yeah, well, at first we'll probably get budgets, right? Like, we're not gonna, I think we'd have to start with like a budget from someone. Just like, so you'll budget the project, get like a rough estimate, I would think. And then move, because you're not gonna be able to get an exact price with that thing engineered.
Right.
And plans drawn out. At the same time, we need to know what our budget is. So if we reached out to a couple people, we got Gartley and Doskey, we got
Dorsey.
Dorsey. There's Proc. What were the other?
Davies Allen.
Davies
Davies
Allen.
Wright Pierce has done some of our engineering studies along the waterfront in the past. And they're in Topsom, and I think Chuck Fuller Marine down in Booth Bay.
Yep.
Does that kind of work. He's a good guy.
So what if we reached out, we could all pick one, or someone could do
Yeah.
a couple, and just ask them how we could proceed in getting a budget and maybe some like preliminary
Yeah,
sketches
find
of this?
out some information. Don't commit to anything, please.
No, and then maybe like meet again via Zoom or something like that later this
Sure.
week, early next week, just to try to keep things, well,
Maybe not
Yeah,
next week.
yeah, next week we're getting into
How about 2 weeks?
2
Or
weeks.
is that worse?
No, that's worse. That's in between Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah, that's Christmas break.
Or it's the day after or something.
Well,
Hey, you Santa Claus? Yeah, and I just wanted to add something real quick.
Yeah.
We're talking about the ramps, right?
I'm talking about the ramps, yes.
Right.
Well,
The ramps, the two ramps.
the 2 ramps, yeah, because that's priority 1, right?
It is for me, but not necessarily for
Yeah.
everyone.
And it was also mentioned that the seawall might want to be grouped into that.
Yeah,
But I think just to like, maybe make something happen this winter, we stick with
Right.
the ramp and just like push for at least a budget, at least something that maybe we could take and try to get a grant for
Right.
or move forward with.
Have you done ramps before?
No, I mean, no, I've been around this stuff as a third party watching it happen.
I'm really, I've only seen it,
Mm-hmm.
and I've only seen that waterfront. You know, there's ramp 1, ramp 2. You want to take the middle piece out, which I think they're gonna do, I think.
Yeah,
And I've seen cement connecting ramps.
yeah,
But I've never installed one.
yeah.
Maybe it's really difficult. It doesn't look it to me, but it might be. It looks to me like, I think what's gonna have to happen down there is going to stabilize the base on those lamps and then put the lamps in. Is that, am I being stupid, Dick, saying that?
No, you're not.
No, I think you're right, but like I said, it's, I think I think the ramp itself needs to be engineered, so you know how much fill to put in, how much base to put in. Because right now, I think you got boats backing in and dropping off stuff and damaging wheels and everything
Right.
else, so.
But
type of material also is gonna be important.
But if you stabilize the base,
Yeah, and stabilizing would mean bringing material in. It doesn't have the grade, but I think an engineer needs to come up with the grade that it needs to be, so when you back out, you're going down gradually, not just dropping off.
is that illegal to stabilize the base?
No, I think whatever we do, the.
It might require
EPA will
permitting,
approve it
I
or
don't know.
whatever.
But that's something an engineer, that's something a design person would know.
Budget's gonna play a big role, because if you're changing the whole grade, it's gonna be a lot more expensive than just.
Well, I think to do it right, I think you have to change the grade.
And we
But I
might,
think that's some of
might
the
have to
complaint.
because of the sea level situation.
Well, the grade we've got now is okay, except that when you go down and it's low tide, and you've got to go as far as the ramp, if you will, extend, it drops off. We don't know what's down there, but it's,
That will
the
probably
end of
never,
it is,
that will probably never change though.
well, if you put fill in there and like Frank says, stabilize that, then you can launch at low tide. Half tide, high tide's not a problem because you're still on the ramp that's quite stable and has the asphalt on.
That would
I mean,
depend, if you went with concrete, that would depend on what they can do with concrete. They might be able to pour it to the tide level, the low tide level.
They'll go to the, yeah,
And then if you go beyond that, they might drop in,
yeah.
sheets,
You could
sheets
drop
of,
in a
yeah,
precast.
sheets of, concrete.
You mean sheets of
Yeah,
the ramp?
yeah, rectangular.
Those are all connected together
Correct.
by cable,
Yeah, and that would be for the extended low tide.
extreme low tide.
Yeah, that extra 10 or 15
Right.
feet you need, so the guy doesn't back his truck and go over the edge.
So I
But
just,
that's what the engineer would.
Yeah, that's all engineering.
and as just a suggestion, because we really sort of liked the design in Bath at the south end, the launch ramp, I called the public works fellow first I started the harbor master, ended up with the public works guy. And when I pass this around with the picture and their contact information, you might want to just ask what they did in their process, and that might make things simpler. I just haven't had time to follow up on it, but most of these people are delighted to share and want to,
Do we know
wanna help,
who did,
so.
do we know who did that one?
No,
It is a little different than Bath. Bath is Europe,
mhm,
and
Right.
it is, and that's on the Kennebec,
mhm,
a lot of time,
mhm.
but it's, but it is different here, a little bit.
Right, but it's, the idea is
I
one.
mean, I envision something physically drilled into the, and I think there's ledge there, and I'm almost certain of it. and put ledge in and pins, and then put the fill against the ledge.
Way out
But
of
that's
your
my
house,
opinion.
but okay. What,
Say we
Does that
do it,
make
yeah,
sense,
it makes
Dick?
sense.
At all?
Yeah. So we're going to need to know enough about the bath design and able to, in order to be able to say something to, in order to be able to put out an RFP for contractors to understand what we want, correct? So is that what we want to start with? I'm just trying to get it clear in my mind.
This floating, floating dock concept isn't new. It's been around for quite a
No,
while.
I didn't.
And no, but it is, but it's the latest thing. It's the newest and greatest, so to speak. Everybody's doing it because of the cost effectiveness of it. They get their existing pilings like we have, then that's what they adhere to.
I'm talking about the ramp.
Correct, but what I'm.
It's not floating.
No, that isn't, but it all goes hand in hand. So the ramp has to come in, as Frank said, around the pilings. But the, and you need one before you have they go together. I guess is what I'm saying.
That's what I
So
mean.
whatever the concept is, whoever the design folks are, they would come out with that entire.
They would have to have both of
Yeah,
those.
it's a package deal.
Okay,
So the scope of that quote is going to include removal of the existing structure and addition of the floating.
Correct.
dock.
Yeah, and the laying of the concrete
So,
or whatever they recommend.
right, so when I took a look at that structure the other day, I can't say I did an exhaustive evaluation, but it didn't look in bad shape. So the rationale for removing it is,
It's in bad shape.
It is in
I'll
bad
take
shape.
it. We can show you.
it shows you, don't ask me to inspect anything, obviously.
Have you seen it?
Okay, yeah,
If you look on the right side, a couple of the main 6x6 braces aren't there.
is that right?
And one's going like
Okay,
this.
so I was only on the other side, that's my
You
problem.
looked at the good side.
All right,
A lot of guys get in trouble just looking at the good side.
Yeah.
One all the way to the right, to the big one.
so that center structure in between the two, I was on the left side of that facing the water.
You might want to do the commercial pier.
No, it's the walkway out to the float between the two boat launches.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
So-
just quickly, you may want to add to this read and read, because there's a
Right.
possibility they did that work in that. I don't know. So, Dennis, you were out while, we were discussing trying to get this launch ramp project going, hopefully by the spring. And, came up that there's some money in our budget for such things.
We carried some money for repairs of the ramps, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and that won't dip into, like, say, the bathroom money or,
There was no money set aside for the bathroom.
isn't there like for the porta potty?
Yeah, no, this is totally separate, so.
Okay, so it's its own to be used for repairs.
Yeah, we had, don't quote me, $29,995, I think, left over in the budget last year.
Mhm.
And we carried all of that over
Mhm.
so that we could have the money to work on these launch ramps.
Things like,
I don't know if that's enough or not, because I have no idea what's going to cost.
okay, so that's why we're here, right, doing this. Okay.
You figure out how much it's gonna cost and not proceed.
Okay,
Kind of doubt that that'll be enough to do all of the work. But we can at least get the engineering done, and then get a better handle on
Mhm.
how much it's gonna cost.
All right, so you got a two-phase approach, engineering and then the final job, right? So when you say you got a deadline of January 10th, what is that a deadline for? For
Information.
just information? Okay,
not sending out the RFPs?
well, they'll get the information and then we'll pass it on to Dennis. We'll go from there, is that right? My understanding of the process.
Sure.
You can send out the RFPs.
I'm not spending any money.
Right.
We can get the information, that doesn't cost.
So what is the process? We get the engineering report, figure out what needs to be done, and put it up to bid, right?
All right, so you don't have to bid your engineering report.
Well, you should go off an RFP for the engineering.
Okay.
Yeah, and then once we.
That's
get-
why I was asking.
Once we get that back, then we can go out for another RFP.
So who would you be looking to write the RFP for the engineering?
And when you say engineering, do you mean design?
Yes,
Okay. Like we had, Dartly endorsed you do for our slip project. Well, we got a grant for that.
correct. Same idea. They did the
Okay.
engineering and the design. This is how much they estimated it would cost. Then we would, if the money had been approved, we'd have gone out for an RFP to actually do the work.
So the money, so most likely we're gonna have to approve some money before we can send out an RFP.
We have the money to work on the ramp, so we can use that as the RFP for the engineering.
Got it.
As well as the repairs.
And repairs.
Do you have a copy of the RFP you sent out for the marina study? That we can get a copy of?
Probably, yeah.
I'd love to see that, just so we know what the format should look like. Are you looking for the waterfront group to do the RFP? Or somebody else doing it?
I'm looking for anybody else to do anything.
Anybody? Okay, I think we could probably tackle that, or if that's our.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
We could probably take that on, right? As long as I have an example, and I think we go. Want to have a meeting in Bath tomorrow, so we can go look at
Yeah.
what they got? Okay. Nice.
Okay. So are you guys feeling pretty good about knowing some phone calls, emails, having conversations with? You want to figure out which to tell, or do you want to just look up in the yellow pages?
Do we want to, with the RFP, do we want to get the RFP, then contact the contractors? Or should we reach out to the contractors while you guys are working on drafting up the
I want to do both, right? at the same
Both,
time,
so-
figure out who we want to talk to.
RFP? Okay,
You wanna-
so I can contact some of these guys, or I guess we can contact all of them unless someone else wants to.
I'm happy to talk to Davies Allen. I know him. So
Okay. See where on Westport Island?
Yeah.
I would say.
I like
So,
reading.
well, I mean, you guys gonna keep track of who's doing what?
Yeah, so that would be on us. Hey, Abby, can I count on you to like keep us straight?
Yeah, do we
That's
have,
my task.
can I have a contact sheet so that I can
Actually,
send that?
I was
Yeah.
just gonna ask
This is
if you had all
This
the
is it right
emails
here.
for
Thank you.
everybody.
I already have a copy of it.
Perfect.
And I can email it, so you'll have it electronically.
Okay.
Great, thank you. Yeah, did I forward, I forwarded the email to you that Sue sent me earlier?
Mhm.
If you could send her an email so she has your contact. info,
I can do that.
that'd be great.
Great.
So I just sent you a sample RFP that Bedford put out. I sent it to you. so.
Okay. Like by texting?
Just FYI.
Okay, now we'll get it later. Thank you. Okay. So do the best you can, I guess, using these info gathering sheets, and these are what we use to, gather information for our SWIFT project. And some places, we're like really forthcoming with information, and other places not so much. And then I'll get set aside to our report. Seem like we've exhausted that, the task list, what we're asking from you guys, a little clearer about.
I'll keep us busy for a little bit.
Let them know, 'cause I've done a little bit.
Okay. Hey, you wanna? Well. Yeah, maybe I'll contact you. Once I kind of like draft up exactly what. Or ask you about that, whether I'll ask them relatively the same thing.
Then I can reach out to them.
Yeah. Sounds good.
So would you folks like to meet independently, which you're welcome to, instead of a meeting?
Are you gonna put out a communication with all of us? Is that-
Yeah, I was thinking about sending out an email
Yep.
for David, where basically it just has what we discussed for tasks today with everyone's name attached to what they said that they would do. So we have an idea of what we're working on.
Should we like maybe next Monday, just try to set up a date? Once we see how much progress we make this week, does that make sense? If we're ready to commit to meeting again next week if I don't get too much done. You know, hopefully I will.
Well, we can float it out there via email, just who's available when.
Yeah.
You guys available during the day or is it evenings only?
It's only I could do like a phone call or something.
they need to
During
meet
the
here?
day, but
They probably should, doing town business.
Yeah, so you should probably meet here. Tuesday, there's selectmen's meeting tonight or next week?
Next week.
Next week.
So they could meet before the selectmen's meeting, couldn't they?
Yep.
So 5
Just
o'clock
about
next
much is small.
Tuesday and be done by 6, do you think that would work?
Actually, this room is open a lot, right?
It's not used at all during the day, so.
So it doesn't have to be before a select board meeting.
I'm definitely not opposed to meeting in person, but I feel like right now we might be able to handle a lot just via email communication, if that's okay.
I think once we have something to show you, that's when it's
Okay, great.
gathering.
So if it's.
I'm not quite so concerned about the subgroup,
Thank you for
with
saying that.
emails, and
Yeah.
as I am the Waterfront Committee itself, because that is an official committee of the town. So I'm not too concerned about that.
Did you do that one on
So
Friday?
you're saying it's okay if they talk back and forth by email?
I
But
mean,
I think you should include
I
one,
think emails
like me
also.
on the email.
yeah, copy will
Email's
do on
faster.
all our
Just to keep.
Yeah.
communications.
You don't have to get everyone together.
Get it done at a more frequent cadence.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Just be aware, though, any emails that you have are subject to public disclosures. So don't put anything in there that you don't want the public to know.
Okay, great. Thank you, everybody that's diving in with both feet. And this is great. And Kelly, thank you for putting this up. Don't forget about the sea level rise. It may be a non-issue down there, I don't know, especially for lunch breaks. I don't know, so. More will be revealed. Thank you. All right.
So if I may ask, if we're done covering working group issues, should we be dismissed at this point, or did you have other things you want to
Would
say?
you like to be dismissed? I think they're okay. Anybody got any comments? Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
I mean,
Okay,
you're
well-
welcome to stay. We can't force you to.
and
I think
I
we
like
need
you
to go
guys a
get
lot,
coffee
but I
somewhere.
have a wife and children at
Because,
home.
well,
that-
yeah,
I'd like to
that,
see too.
Gotcha.
Sorry, we lost that competition.
That's
All right, thank you.
all right. Smart man.
Thank you.
Good to see you. Good to meet you.
Very well.
All we need is to give. the whole copies that I got. That's the purpose.
Okay. Okay.
It's a lot of reason. It's an idea.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, perfect. I just wanted to make sure I got it.
All right, so, the installation of the electrical down
Yes.
at the rec view, right, the pedestal?
Yeah, that may take a while because we can't get the equipment we need to do it. So
Oh,
there's a lot of stuff is on back order, so we're gonna have to do something temporary until
So the pedestal itself.
Yeah, as soon as it comes, they'll get it installed.
When do you anticipate it
I don't
coming?
know, I don't anticipate anything, I don't give ETAs.
Doesn't matter what business you're in, the auto stuff. That's not,
It's taken us weeks just to get the stuff, fix the sign.
Hmm.
your contract, you need the auto windows and doors.
No,
Again, you're talking 6 months.
yep, that's just about what it took for us to get the windows, I think it was a little longer than that, to replace the windows of the police department. Nuts. I mean, I think it has eased up a little bit, but. Should.
Let's see, David's not here. Chores over the winter, and, Dick, remember you were going to contact your friends at that finest kind,
Yeah.
arena. So I called, that, yes. Which I'd like to talk about that under other business, if that's okay.
Yeah, I'll do
So I called Blue Bay Harbor to ask them about lunch, they don't have lunch fees and they do not have mooring insurance.
I get mixed reactions back on that mooring insurance, every time I wanna try to, oh. No, never mind, that's something different, right?
So.
What's mooring insurance?
Boat insurance
boat
on
insurance.
boat insurance.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's, every time I bring that up, I get pushback on it.
Well, our concern is, we have people not registering their mooring because they don't have a boat. They have the mooring, but they sold their boat or whatever, or they have their boat and they can't afford insurance on it because it needs to be appraised, or we have one fisherman needs to be appraised. But then we tell them to just register your mooring without it, just so we get the mooring registration fee. But it's kind of a catch
The
22.
online form doesn't let you register more without.
Well, Kelly has a trick for that.
Yeah.
No, so the issue that we run into is that if you enter a date in, you can move forward. You don't have to upload the proof of insurance. So that is where we run into it. I think we just need to talk about, okay, fine, the insurance is there, we're requiring it. And on the same, we want them to register. It's not gonna solve the insurance problem because they're gonna have the mooring out in the water. You know, it's not like you don't have insurance, so we're gonna take your mooring away. I mean, they're still gonna have access to it. So I think we just have to come up with some kind of something, just what action do you want, like the harbor master to take if someone doesn't have insurance?
Well, when you pay to register your boat, registration, right, if it's got a motor, it's got a registration on numbers, where do you do that?
But you don't need to have insurance to register a boat.
Okay, but why wouldn't you, because you have to have free cover.
Where do you know for it?
Right.
It's not mandated by the state like car insurance is. The town's mandated it for the mooring, but
Right. So should.
I mean, I don't
What do you
think,
solution is?
I don't think, what little bit of time I put into it, I didn't find too many other communities that require insurance. I know there are some, but I think there are more that don't than there are that do. Or maybe Dawn knows better about this than I do. But I didn't spend a lot of time on it, but I think Wells was one that required insurance. And maybe there was one other town down east, but
I mean, and my thought is we can continue to require it. And then if someone registers it and doesn't give us, you know, the proper information, can we send them a letter and have it be something that we're tracking and, you know, I don't know. I don't know what to do.
Is it the disadvantage of not having?
you have a boat sitting on the bottom like you do out there now.
Well, see, that's what started this whole
Okay.
That's what
conversation.
started the whole thing. But I think with an active harbor master, we don't have that issue. And, you know, when we do have an issue that could be potentially, we have to take action like we did with this last one. And deal with it before it's on the bottom. But, I mean, since I've been harbor master, since the whole insurance thing came into effect, we hear nothing but complaints.
Yeah, I don't want anyone to come yell at me again.
You mentioned that the difficulty sometimes is that people don't have a boat, so they feel they don't have to register the mooring. Is that-
No, they don't know what to do about the insurance
Okay.
portion because they don't have a boat.
Okay, so I would think that the online service could have a workaround loop on that. Do you currently have a boat? Yes or no? If it's yes, bingo, it goes to the insurance side. They have to supply that. If it's no, then they should be able to proceed on with the filling out of the application. That should then that would create a list or set off a trigger to say, for the harbor master to say, okay, mooring 321 doesn't have a boat yet, but he's registered. And if you're doing a survey and all of a sudden a boat shows up on 321, you gotta call the owner of 321 and say, hey, your boat's here, but we haven't seen your insurance yet. What are you gonna do about it?
I think the method that we're currently using will work that way without having to change the application. or anything.
Okay,
And I have it so that if someone says, no, I don't have a boat, then they need to reach out to me and tell me that, and then I can help them from there.
okay.
So.
So you can work around it.
mhm.
So do I assume that somebody is registering a mooring that doesn't have a boat because they plan to sometime in the future?
Yes,
It's
I mean,
not
good.
there was one guy I talked to, he said his boat is sometimes in Florida, and he plans on bringing it up here. I mean, I don't, why
And
would we
some
have an
people-
issue with someone paying for it?
Some
when
people
I don't
have
have
sold
a boat?
their
But is there a time limit on how long you can do that? Let's say,
No,
I'm gonna register my mooring for 5 years, but I'm not gonna have a boat.
you could do
And is
that.
that taken away from somebody else? from putting the
No,
mooring?
you could do that. You don't have to have a boat to have a mooring.
Well, I
Yeah.
understand that.
By
And
the,
I,
by the bylaws, you don't have to do that. The bylaw just says that if you have a mooring, you have to pay the permit fee. Doesn't say you have to have a boat and hasn't got a boat. connected.
But is that prohibiting somebody else from getting a mooring?
I don't.
Not as,
think so.
not as
There's-
long, not as
there's-
long as they continue to pay the fee.
There's room in the
Because-
harbor.
There's room in the harbor.
I mean, maybe once we get to a little bit
Because
more capacity.
The previous harbor master here, one of the older ones who set up kind of a nice operation here for a number of years. Still has he's had a mooring over in Booth Bay Harbor that he hasn't used in 18 years. But he still pays the fee every year for it, so that he has it. And therefore he has his location. So that's what you're doing with your mooring fee and your moorings. You're actually buying the spot where your mooring is. That's what becomes valuable when the mooring field fills up.
Hmm.
So you have to kind of treat the boats and the moorings as two separate things altogether.
And we don't have a lot of people fighting over mooring space. Didn't we have a go around with the Waterfront not being able to get surveys on their boats, or the boats not passing surveys, get insurance? Wasn't going, we had one, Noah. Yeah, and it was expensive, it cost him like $1,500 for this place to come up and survey his boat to tell him what it would work. Because they're not just gonna take your word for it, okay, my boat's worth $1 million, then have to say, they're gonna look at it and say, no, your boat's worth $2,500.
So he's the only one.
No, I think there's been a couple,
Yeah.
there's been a couple.
I mean, the survey is $200, $300, $400. That's all that is, and you have to haul the boat out. That's the expense involved with it. And if the boat's hauled out for the winter, then before they put it back in the water, that's when the survey can be done.
Yeah.
And so you don't have the haul out fee involved. It's just having the survey come over for $200, $300, $400, depending on the size of the boat.
What if that should go on your letter?
What's that?
The letter that you were gonna send around
No, what should I put on?
about if you feel like you need to have your boat surveyed, well, now.
Well, another issue
I wouldn't have thought
that we ran into was a person had a boat, and I guess the boat was mixed,
It was half wood, half fiberglass.
and so they couldn't get insurance on it. I don't know anything about boat insurance,
So
I just don't know.
So he pulled his mooring and moved it to Edgemont. But he wants to come back. But he uses,
Over there now?
yeah, he uses the Wisconsin waterfront, he comes in every day, uses everything, now he just doesn't.
Yeah,
pay
we
for
just
it.
paid for this.
Right.
There's a
So
lot
I
of,
just-
There's more.
not easily insurable,
No.
So I
like
just-
old wooden yachts and stuff that are fine, but an insurance company's gonna run
Yeah.
away from screaming. with it.
The insurance companies are getting worse and worse with that. Number one, the age of the boat, anything 30, 40 years, they start scratching their heads. And if it's got wood on it, see you later. They just, and they can be picky like that too. I just got my insurance bill and I'm protesting it. And they devalued it by 16% and increased it by 18%, increased the premium by 18. I said, who's winning on this deal? But yeah, you take a look at the hurricanes that we just had and all the messes they had down in Florida, and this is what pays for it. And they go all over the country to get that money.
So I think the question is, do we do away with the insurance? If we don't do away with the insurance, what do we do with people who don't get insurance?
And I really think with an active harbor master that's paying attention and doing his job, I don't, the chances of another boat going down like this last one are far diminished from what they were.
Well, and that was exactly the problem with the last one. And now we're fortunate that we've come across this submerged
Because
vessel thing.
the harbor master has the authority to remove that vessel if it's gonna be an issue with navigation.
Mhm.
And they could have removed the last one and just did.
So you don't need to require the insurance except for that eventuality.
That's what got the whole thing started.
Right,
And that
right,
other
yeah.
boat sank, and then the town was gonna be on the hook for
Yeah.
removing it. The guy paid what, $50 delivery fee or some ridiculous thing.
Community service.
And I'm not even sure, I'm Don, maybe you guys know, who pushed that anyways? I mean, was that,
Marine Patrol charged them.
yeah, but who pushed the idea for the insurance? Because I know there's one gentleman in town that makes a big fuss out of this, but it's one individual.
Does he sell insurance?
No,
So what if we leave it because it's there? And then, like I said, we can kind of deal with it case by case.
I don't want,
Because there are
You
people
can.
who do have insurance.
I don't want to leave something in place that we're not going to enforce. If we're not going to do it, then let's just get rid of it. It doesn't just, then we're not getting into this conversation.
Well, especially since our fees are about to go up.
Right.
So if the harbor master feels comfortable with it.
I feel comfortable with it.
I mean, that's something we'll have to go to the select board, so the ones like that.
So is that something we have to recommend or?
So,
Recommend removing the required insurance?
Yeah.
Form.
no. Can we notify the other members or? do we have to be here?
Did Frank leave for bid?
Maybe.
Well, if you're taking this as an official action, the committee is not what you.
Okay,
Just saying.
I don't think there's a real need to do it immediately this time we go anyway.
No, it was just a
can do it
conversation I
next
wanted to
meeting.
We
start
can do it in the next meeting.
before the
Okay, so
registration starts happening.
insurance. You could always just say it's recommended but not required.
Sure.
Or recommended, leave it at that. Because why wouldn't you want to have insurance on a nice boat?
Well, the nice
If you have a crappy boat.
problem is that people don't want to put insurance on crappy boats.
Or your commercial boat and take your living.
It's like the-
One thing to keep in mind in the future, though, is that if you have the dock space that you're renting out to people, you really have to require they have insurance on that. Because you can get in a lot of trouble if there's a fire in a boat at a dock and they lose other boats.
Right, that's, we're talking about.
Yeah,
two
no,
different things, so.
Oh, I understand, but I just want to show you the separation in that.
I know there's insurance on the Virginia because the insurance company charged means per ship $200 for each person that rode on the vessel, bringing it from Bath to here. And I think it's because it's still in the construction phase and it's not quite spec yet as yet. So I think that was the reason. But I'll check into the insurance on that too.
Were they happy with their reception?
Very much so.
There's quite a crowd now.
It's quite a boat.
You know, that's
And what
interesting.
pleased me more than anything is that she came right up here and paid her $2,000.
Wow,
I like that.
just came right on up. Huh. That's
I
great.
don't know where to go.
If she didn't pay you, tell her to go.
People are always telling me that I have a chance.
No, just if you wanted to hear about Virginia and her travels.
I'll hear about it.
Okay, well, it's being recorded.
All right.
On Facebook.
Have a good day. Thank you, Dennis.
The pump is here too, by the way.
The pump, oh,
Thank you.
And he has it on the schedule to do that the first week of April, or to check with us the first. week of
Okay,
April
that's awesome.
To confirm that.
Okay, good.
I know there's an automatic fire suppression system in the engine room, but I don't think it's throughout the whole vessel.
Okay.
So that's significant.
Okay.
What is first week in April?
He's
Being
gonna,
installed?
they're going to contact us for the date we want it installed, because he sends a crew, 2 guys up for a couple of
Okay,
days.
so they're gonna contact us in April.
First week of April, to pick out the date, to see what progress, if we got to slip in for it, or is everything in line for it? Is the power down there for it? Things like that.
The pump up.
Oh,
Okay, thank you. So that's just for the pump, has nothing to do with the electric. Or the.
He doesn't do the electric, he
They
has
will
to have
do
the
it.
electric there, and he has to have the discharge hose there. And then they come and hook that up and set it in place, make it operational.
So that'll all start first week in April. Once he contacts you, you'll know.
Hopefully DPW is gonna be working on getting the power down there and the hose down, the pipe down there.
Okay,
That's a whole separate project that we have to worry about. The installer doesn't worry about that. It's a town project.
okay. Just to make sure it doesn't get lost in the springtime, everything else,
It's on Ted's agenda, I hope.
I'm sorry?
I hope it's on Ted's agenda.
Me too.
So Ted needs to run the pipe from the red flow over to
Yeah.
wherever it is there.
Yeah. And I was talking with David, and he said that he thought that the sewer department had a roll of that they didn't use somewhere. So that might be available.
I think,
I'll mention it to Ted.
Maybe we can sit down someday and half an hour over a cup of coffee and put all that together.
Yeah. It's just, I know, it's 4 months away. It's like we're so close,
4 months will be here tomorrow, almost.
Exactly. Exactly. Okay, thank you, Don. So let's see. Thank you for the periodicals. Other business, do you want to share anything about Virginia's first voyage?
it's here.
yeah,
Successfully,
It came in on time.
no issues.
It's 5 minutes after 12:30. Yeah, this is
isn't that later than that?
Well, that's because we had a captain from the Maritime Academy, and an engineer from the Maritime Academy. It's the only reason they got here on time, but no issues.
So will they secure it like with anchors like we did with?
Just where I went to school.
Will it get secured with anchors like Providence did?
We didn't drop an anchor, we're tied onto both dolphins in addition to the floats. And we were adjusting lines today to make sure that when the wind comes around, that the force is taken by the dolphins and a minimum amount of force on the floats. So I'm thinking they're probably not going to put an anchor out.
Thank you.
That was my idea, and I think the captain felt otherwise.
I mean, you can keep that.
Because it was miserable weather to try to put an anchor
Mm.
on anyway.
Yeah.
But if we need to, we can put one in the boat, and just take it out there.
I have an extraneous question. Not knowing how much those little cannons cost, I wondered what it would take to arm the harbor master, or at least provide the harbor master with one of those small cannons so that we can salute back when one of these hot shot boats comes in. There was no answering, or is it
I
Not
can shoot
protocol.
back. I got a shotgun. Don't we have one out there?
Well, we do, and that would probably, there'd be a lot of smoke out of that one. They would hear it for miles. No, but is it not the proper thing to do to fire a welcoming shot?
Oh, yeah. That's.
Well, I know they banned them at some football games after a ref got hit in the back of the head with a wall.
On the Patriots, with their muskets. Yeah, those, you just use black powder and you put maybe paper in there.
Most of them have blanks.
Compress it and.
I thought it was just powder. I didn't know you had to have a lot in it.
Well, you gotta pack it.
You have to
in.
pack it in, obviously.
Have it laying in the bottom.
The ones we used this summer when they,
Yeah.
for the Schooner Fest, fired off my boat, those are just shells.
Yeah,
Blank
a lot of them
shells.
have blank shotgun cells. in the,
Are these things
12 gauge
expensive?
and 15 gauge,
We had a 12 gauge.
something like that.
Where do you come up with something that shoots shotgun shells, a cannon?
Well, they have cannons that, they're about this big.
But who's they?
People that sell them and manufacture.
Well, no, but they, well.
And there are actually people around here that own them. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't own one, but I know a fellow that does.
The one that Fred had though was little.
Yeah,
He was carrying it around.
yeah, Fred had a little
Canvas
small
back.
one, Alan had a, well, cannons come in different sizes.
It was funny.
Okay, so there is such a.
Oh, yeah.
I just
probably won't-
wanted to know if the
I thought
harbor
maybe
master
there was-
wanted one for Christmas.
Hey, I'll take one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to do with it. I don't know how to use it, but I can learn.
Oh, mallet hit it on the end of it. It goes off.
That's usually what they do.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Aren't you glad you asked?
it was,
Texas Longhorns are real big on cannons, and it just occurred to me that there's a cannon opportunity. I know one that could be hauled up here from Texas, but it's about half the size of that one.
Now, what he's talking about is something about this long. And
Uh-huh.
that's what we got on the Virginia. But they're using black powder.
Yeah.
I think the ones with the blank shotgun cells are a lot easier
Yeah.
to use
Yeah,
and to maintain.
it was just,
And I think they're lighter too, because you don't have that much pressure on them.
right.
it was just my idea, let's have some fun too. Okay, back to business.
Appropriate the funds for the harbor master office to have that as part of his one of his fixtures in the office.
Somebody will break my window and steal it. I'll keep it at the PD.
Okay,
Listed as a deterrent.
Mount it to the hood of my cruiser.
let's go home. Any other business?
I'm gonna send this out.
Did you, I'm sorry, did you have a comment?
Well, I just wanted, if you're about to wrap up, I guess you sort of all met me, but I just wanted to say hi. I'm Luke and I live on Federal Street and I've just been doing a bunch of some oyster farming on the Sheepscot River. And I've been sort of using the waterfront and the facilities there a bunch. And so that's why I'm here, just to sort of meet people, put faces to names. And so I just wanted to say hi.
Where's your oyster?
Swansway Bay, like sort of down by Chwonky Eaton Farm, Oak Island, kind of in there. On the edge of the channel, not on the flats, but on the edge of that channel that runs up in there. So it's a limited purpose aquaculture license.
Is it in Woolwich or Wisconsin?
Technically it's in Woolwich.
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's why we don't know about it. No, we didn't get a permit. We did get something.
Right,
Okay.
but he's
But it
over in
wasn't-
Cobble Cove, right?
Well, there was a guy that was going to put one in,
He never did.
where Maniac is, almost. And,
Yeah, he never did.
But that wasn't you, Luke, was it?
No, I
Just
talked to,
another, yeah.
I talked to Ray Sewell when he was still harbor master, and
Oh.
when I was unsure of, because I am right on the line. Like, if I was on the other side of the little channel I was on, like I'd be in Wisconsin, so.
Okay,
So no, it was the Woolwich Select Board that signed off on it. But I talked to Ray at the time. So yeah, I'm gonna, this is,
you just wanted to be a known.
yeah, just, it's always nice to meet people and, so.
Are you
Here I am.
raising them to sell for consumption?
So how did your first season go?
It's good, it's been good. We put seed in July and they, almost all of them have made it through the summer and they're, you know, about this big. I tasted some over Thanksgiving and the University of Maine, their cooperative extension thought that day would be like a good spot for them. And so far, so good. Yeah, I've been chatting with, you know, the worm folks and there's so far, everything's fairly harmonious, although there's a little bit of tension between like the Damascata River obviously is jam-packed with oyster farms. And there's some theorizing that that has reduced the number of worms in the Damascata. I think that's not really supported by data, but that's kind of a little bit of a push and pull. So trying to make sure that, you know, dig up any data on that. So but everyone's been gracious and so anyway.
Huh.
So that's why I'm randomly here.
Thank you.
Best of
Thank you
luck.
for coming. Thank you for sharing.
Be excited to be able to buy some of your product.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where do you live on Federal Street?
291 is the number. I'm right before the West Alma Road. So,
Right.
yeah.
I live on Federal too.
Oh, okay. Okay, closer to town.
Yeah.